New York, and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning, Laura Styles. Rosenberg's on assignment. Give it up for Dr. Steve Perry. Capital Prep. So the school I send my daughter to, right? Is going to be able to teach her certain things unless me as a parent is reinforcing those things in the home.
So
like behavioral things and respect for authority.
That would be nice. Listen, that would be nice. That'd be a nice bounce pass for an easy layup. But that's not the way it all works for everybody.
All right.
The fact is that I have children who today woke up in a shelter.
Okay.
Some of them with their parents, some of them without their parents. I'm not throwing those kids away. We got them. That just means that we have to work harder with them. That's all it means. And with all due respect to those people who send their children to boarding schools and the like, those people are raising your kids.
Yep.
And we can argue what we want about how important it is to have parental involvement, but with the exception of a couple visits a year, they're not up there with their kids. They're talking to their kids on the phone. So not physically in many cases, even in their space. Those educators are largely responsible for the acculturation of those children. And that's real. And people spend gobs of money to have such an acculturation occur.
So if I'm a teacher in a public school, do I feel that same responsibility?
I don't see how anyone who calls himself an educator could feel anything less than that. I look at these children, and it's hard not to even get emotional. I look at them as my kids. These are the kids who are at my son's house, my house for a birthday party. These are my kids, not like my kids. They're my children. And so why is it that I would see that I have an out, like a trap door?
Well, because you look at it as a community, right? So is there a cultural issue? And I know the answer, but once again, being rhetorical. Is there a cultural issue where you have teachers who just look at kids who are not like them, not from where they're from, and go, these kids don't understand me, I don't understand them, they can't learn?
So I will say this. It's a small C culture, not a big C culture. It's not like white teachers are worse teachers than black teachers, or black teachers are better than white teachers, because the truth is I'll fire a black teacher faster than you can say Jackie Robinson if he can't teach. What matters to me is that you get in there and you let the children know that you are ride or die for them. And they will, kids, listen, folks, the reason why gangs beat us as educators, here we are with all these degrees and all this certification and all this experience. And the reason why a 19-year-old can beat us is because they can treat a child like their own. They can say, you're my little brother. I love you. And for the cost of a pair of sneakers and a sandwich, they can show that kid, look, I got your back. So much so that that young woman or man will put their life on the line, literally go out there, stand in this freezing cold and deliver packets on their behalf. I'm not even asking you to deliver a packet. I just want you to do this packet of math. Like, that's what I'm asking you to do. If I can't connect to your soul, then there's something wrong with me. I'm telling you, it's very often the case that the adults who are in the classroom are not willing to take the internal look, and they say, well, you're blaming teachers. Okay, call it what you want to call it, but you chose this profession, and thank God you did. But if you're going to do it like it's supposed to be done.
So on the blaming teachers and teacher sensitivities, because I know there's a lot of teachers that work hard and are grossly underpaid, right? And
I guess. And I can't co-sign that, because working hard, listen, there are a lot of people on radio who ain't syndicated. You know why?
True.
Just because they standing behind a microphone and they work hard, it doesn't mean they have the talent for it. You all live radio. You think radio. You've worked to this place. You've done things to get, so now you're here. And there are those who will look at you and say, why did they get it? Why is Laura Styles up there? I'm as pretty as she is. I'm as smart as she is. Why
think
not?
They're working. To your point, sometimes people think they're working hard, and they just don't know what hard work is relative to the job.
That's what it is.
Right. So what? But I'm asking you. You know, I got into a back and forth with Jersey City teachers because their contract was up and they wanted more. What was it? Better health and
I think
raises.
benefits and a raise. Yeah.
And you know, I live in Jersey City, right? I have a house there, and I pay taxes there.
I think the school was ranked pretty low. I think.
Well, no, the
issue.
problem I have is in a city that large, you have a school district that is ranked not even in the top 150 in the state.
So let's stay there. So this is to my point when I say it's designed to be this way. Move all those kids out of there, put white kids in there, and then let somebody tell you that school system is ranked in the bottom 10%. And let's see how cool that is. Put wealthy white kids in there, and let's see how cool that is.
Wealthy black kids.
But We actually can understand that wealthy black kids don't perform as well because we tend to allow that to happen because even in suburban schools where African-American children are higher incomed, they in many cases are still not outperforming poor white kids. So we actually in this country are comfortable with even wealthy black people not
Really?
getting it in. Oh yeah. Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Don't let someone's income fool you. We are still black in America.
So what is that an indictment of? Is that an indictment of the deliverer of the information, the
Yes.
design of the...
Yes, it absolutely is. When I accept you acting like an ass as a condition of your youth, then I have to create a narrative around that. So why would that be so? Because he grew up a particular way. I have to create a whole narrative to make that true. Because the data doesn't
So
support
have we
that.
as a black community accepted that? Is that what you're saying?
On a level,
It's happened to us,
on
yes,
a
but then
level,
we also
on
accepted
a level,
it.
we all internalize our upbringing. I was just having a conversation with a white colleague on the ride over here, and I was saying that, we have similar upbringing. She grew up poor, I grew up poor. She grew up white, that's different. But we all have somebody in our family to remind us, oh, you think you better than everybody. Oh, and if you got enough of those people around, that means they've internalized this hatred such that they think that, when you ask them, how's your son? Bad as hell. And they mean, like, that's a compliment. Like, oh, you say something to him, he cuss you out. Like, that's not cool.
But that's cultural. That's a problem, isn't it?
But I will say to you, if you look at the people who are most often choosing a school different than the one in their neighborhood, a public school option, is typically people of color. It's typically poor people who are white. The drums of the streets.
Wait, say that
spoken.
again.
The people who are choosing charter schools specifically, magnet schools are the schools of choice. Vocational technical schools, these are all schools of choice. Or some other derivative thereof. If there's some scholarship or something like that. We got black Muslims who send their children to Catholic schools because the neighborhood school is so bad that they were like, hey, you know what? Just the Jesus thing, we'll work that out later. But for now, I'm going to need you to go to this school so that you can learn math.
Basic reading.
Basic reading. Right now, what we see is that the people who are most often exercising their right to choose a good public school, whether it be charter, magnet, vocational technical, or some public school choice, like a test school, are people of color, most specifically poorer people. We're the ones making that choice. And doesn't it surprise you?
So we're exercising school choice while the mainstream narrative is that people don't want school choice?
It's exactly, because the mainstream narrative is typically white women who are the main group of teachers who represent that group, which is mostly suburban. These are just facts, right? The over 80% of teachers in the what we refer to as a teachers union are white. I mean, that's just a fact. They don't have to like it. It's true. And there are reasons why that is so. Again, systemically, there are opportunities to create alternative route to certification that will allow more people of color who've decided that, I've done radio for a while, I want to teach. I've done music for a while, I want to teach. But
I mean, more white women to be teachers.
No, these are more people of color would be allowed to become teachers, but they've created blocks to stop that from happening.
Got it.
This group that is mainly suburban or the derivative thereof here in the city, they are the ones who want to maintain the status quo. Let me give you a real quick thing. I was just in California talking to a large group of educators. There are 600,000 children in charter schools in California. 600,000. That's more children that are in schools in Connecticut, right? So 600,000 in just charters. Here's why this falls apart. Here's why the teachers' unions fight that. The teachers' unions fight that because if you fact simple math here, right? For every 20 students, you need one teacher. So with 600,000, that's 30,000 teachers. In California, same is true in New York, each teacher pays approximately $1,000 per year out of their salary, automatically taken away like child support.
To the union.
To the union. That's $30 million that won't go to the California Teachers Association as a result of these minority parents choosing a different school that's not unionized.
So then the popular narrative becomes that charter or that school choice, let's go with, is leaving the community behind. But the reality is what you're saying is parents who are low income from these neighborhoods are already choosing schools anyway.
They're the ones. In fact, there wouldn't be waiting lists at our schools but for the minority and poor parents.
Because if I have money, I already live in a neighborhood where the PTA and these other things are involved in the school, and that school is probably performing better anyway.
It's performing better, but often overstated how well it's performing.
Right.
Because in many cases, some of the highest performing schools in the United States of America are schools with largely minority students. I'm going to stay with me for this one. The U.S. News and World Report is often accepted as the gold standard for determining what a high-performing school, hospital, whatever it is, right? So according to the U.S. News and World Report, 15% of all of the schools in the United States of America are magnets or charter schools. Magnet schools are public schools that will allow kids to come from outside their district. Charter schools are public schools that allow kids to come from outside their district. That's the only difference, right? They otherwise have to do all the same things, but the kids can come from outside of the neighborhood.
Okay, got it.
That's the difference. They represent 15% of all schools in the United States of America, yet they represent 60% of the top performing schools in the country. So you ask yourself, well, damn, I mean, if we figured out how to run good public schools, why not run more good public schools? Because the teachers' unions have convinced a number of politicians, most of whom are Democrats, many of whom are people of color, that if you allow these children to leave this failed school system, then this is hurting children who are left behind. But then why leave them behind? Let's let them all leave. Let them go to whatever schools they want to go to. Because isn't that democracy? If you have Medicaid, you can go to any hospital that takes Medicaid or Medicare. If you have Section 8, you can go to any place that you want to go to that takes Section 8 vouchers. If you have a student financial aid, if you have the GI Bill, you can go to any college that accepts financial aid. But why is it that if you're K to 12, you got to live, eat, and die in your neighborhood? Why? Only way you can get out of the hood is to buy your way out, or to be able to play basketball, or to run fast, or jump high.
Right, you got these bars.
Right? Or if you got these bars, right? But let's be honest, a lot of those cats, for what it's worth, gonna end up back where they started.
Most.
So the only true way out, of poverty,
and so wait,
is education.
But isn't there an option? So recently I read an article, de Blasio threw $100 million, $50 million, whatever the number was, at New York public schools to improve the low-performing schools.
I think he tripled the budget.
It tripled the budget, after school, da-da-da-da. And recently it was just scrapped the program and basically admitted that it didn't work.
Because if money was the issue, then the best place to send your child would be to prison, because that's where we spend the most amount of money on kids. It's not money. Our school in...
So you're back, just before you even go down that road, so it's not the money, what is it?
It's the performance, it's the expectations of the people working in the school.
So it's the teachers.
Teachers, principals, lunch staff, custodians, everybody in the building. I'm saying that for a reason, because I want to make sure it's a culture within the school. If in our school you walk and it's not immaculate, then that means all of us decided to have crap on the floor. If you walk into one of our schools and people are disrespectful, if you hear somebody hollering at one of my kids, you should holler at me, because that's not how we talk to our children. I don't need you screaming at kids. We had a couple kids who have hearing issues, and they've got that taken care of. They have the devices, and you can talk to them like a normal human being. You're not going to talk to my kids like dogs. That's not who they are. If that's who they are to you, don't ever come back here again. Don't ever come back here. In Connecticut, for instance, our school in Bridgeport, we have 2 sites in Bridgeport. The neighborhood schools get $16,500 per pupil, plus a $120 million building that has with it a $30 million stadium. We get $11,500 per pupil, no building, no stadium. My kids are walking 2 miles, got chased last week by a man with rusty hedge clippers. Police had to come and lock this man up, chase 4 of my kids who were just walking to practice. Police had to come and get... This in Bridgeport, right? That school, with those kids, had the highest percentage of kids who met the state's growth trajectory, period, of any color, of any type, from any neighborhood, with $6,000 less per pupil. I say 6 because I said 15. I said 16, but it's the additional money. It's not, God knows, give me the rest of it. Give me the loot. I'll take it. I'll take the rest of it. But that's not what's going to make us good. What makes us good with the extra money is I can pay my teachers.
What makes us great?
What I can pay my teachers a little bit more. The benefits packages that they have in the neighborhood schools are unbelievable, like unbelievable. In fact, if you retire in most school systems, you get 85% of your highest salary. Well, the highest salary in many of these districts is well over $100,000. Well over $100,000. I know people don't want you to know that, but it's the average teacher salary is up over $75,000 plus benefits, which is another 30%, which puts you up over $110,000. Simple math, right? Make sure we can do it in the 6th grade. Up over $110,000. So you retire at 57 with 37 years of service, right? 37 years of service, you start 2021, you can retire 85% of your salary with full benefits. That means you're making $90,000 a year at 60 years old for the rest of your life. Now, if you've gone in there and you taught our kids to read, write, and compute, and you've taught them that they are 10 feet tall and bulletproof, that's not enough money for you. But if I can go to your school and find that it was a failing school, I don't understand how you can cash that check. Unless, of course, you can create the narrative to say that I tried and they didn't want it. I've yet to meet a kid who doesn't want to learn. There are certain kids who are not the best kids for certain academic settings. There are certain kids who definitely have significant trauma that they've suffered, and the traditional setting is just not for them. And that's true. They represent about 3% of the population, and they will tear your school to pieces, to smithereens. Like that kid will come in there, and he will make kids not even want to come to class. He'll make the teachers not. That's not the lion's share of the population. The lion's share of the population, okay, they come in rough, but you work in the hood. Like, what do you expect? Like, seriously, I don't even know what you expected.
You're working in neighborhoods where there's...
This is what it is. Like, for me, that's why I wake up. Like, for me, the bigger win is going there. And how hard would it be to go to a suburban school system in which 70, 80, 90% of kids come in reading, writing, and doing math on grade level? How hard is it to be? Like, a chimpanzee could come and run that district. But to go somewhere where 91% of kids can't do math. So the teachers union
hate your guts?
The bosses do. The rest of them, when they're really real, they come up to me like, bro, I get where you're coming from. And then I ask them questions.
When I asked when me and Jersey City Public Schools or Jersey City teachers, they was like, how dare you? You don't know. You know where you own your house is the tax abatement. We not getting enough.
Did you ask them where they go to? Where they send their kids to school?
I didn't get into all that.
Because that's always the question.
I just took the heat because I was basically like, look, I know that the school system in Jersey City is not in the top 150. That doesn't make sense to me. And so,
which costs you money.
I pay for it, and I pay to send my daughter to another school.
Yeah.
So I'm paying 2 times. And on top of that, there's one high school, which is the top-ranked high school in the state. There's one junior high school, and there's one elementary school that are ranked tops in the state. The rest are terrible, and we out here like we want this and that.
And a reasonable person would ask that. Look, I don't mind. You want to cut my lawn? I don't mind paying you. And you want to do it right? Go ahead. My man Oscar comes in, takes care of the lawn. I blew the leaves yesterday. My sons and I went out there and blew them because Oscar didn't show up yesterday. So Oscar calls me and said, hey, Mr. Steve, I'm going to call you this weekend. We're going to come blow the leaves. Nah, partner, do not come. Don't. You better call before you come. You ain't going to get paid. I don't mind paying you. I want to pay you a lot. But here's what I'm not going to have you do. I'm not going to have you come up in here and charge me for something you're not doing. The facts are the facts. Very well-intended people who would call themselves liberals will say, but you don't understand poverty. I don't understand poverty. Really? I'm going to sit down while when you get back from Whole Foods driving your Subaru with the Hillary sticker on the back, you tell me what poverty's like. Mm-hmm. Please tell me. Please tell me. Because I understand it well enough to know that it's not a dead end. It's a start, no doubt. But that start could be jump-started if and when you put a kid in a fantastic academic experience.
And so your major qualm with whatever liberals you have a problem with or Democrats who support this, et cetera, is the fact that they are holding on to a school system and a school idea that is clearly not working and allow the narrative to be spread that school choice is bad.
Universally accepted as not working. You can't go anywhere in the United States of America and say, do you think public education is working? When the United States of America has fallen from grace, we're in the bottom third nationally. There are countries beating us that are poor.
They're developing countries.
Singapore is a poor country. South Korea, a poor country.
Relative.
To us.
Yeah.
They're poor countries relative to us. Smoking us. It's not even close. Like, it's not even, we can't even say, well, they just beat us by a little bit. No, we got skull
Singapore
drug.
got some discipline, though. You can't even chew gum in that joint.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
But
hey.
call it what it is. Call it what it is. But the point is
But
that
I'm bringing that up on purpose.
But stay
they
there.
have discipline.
But
They
stay,
are
but
ready
stay
to,
there. But stay there for a second. The point is that country has found a way to educate some of the poorest living human beings, to outperform some of the wealthiest living human beings. Poverty is not the issue here. Poverty is not the issue. It's the commitment and connection to the children to make sure that you believe that their success is your success. I've been to many.
And that's why I bring up culture again, man. I bring up culture again because I feel like people have to care about the culture, which is multicultural in America. You have to look across at someone who may or may not look like you and care about them as a human being and know that they do have a desire to learn. That's why they showed up today.
And so I 100% agree with that. Now that I 100% agree with. I have to be able to see. I see Laura and I say, okay, she's smart. Well, how do you know? Because she's here. Like I said to one of our young men yesterday in Harlem, he was having a rough morning, just rough. I walked into class and he had his head down. I have a colleague who's in there, and I don't understand why I can see his head down and you can't. So I'm confused. Initially, I'm confused. Maybe they've had a conversation before I got there saying, man, your head must be about to fall off, so you should put it down here. Or we have this new learning strategy that if you put your head on the math book, that in fact, the information will come in. Short of that, I do not understand why
Osmosis, that's osmosis.
Exactly, it's osmosis. So I go in, I check on the young man. Obviously, I end up later on having a conversation with my colleague. Good brother, but clearly didn't realize what school he was working in. Mm-hmm. So I say to the young man, what appears to be the problem? So I'm tired. Son, you have to learn to play hurt. It's daytime now. Who hasn't gone to work tired? You don't get paid less because you're tired. You get what it is. So I walk away, he puts his head back down. And I said, wow, you must really be confused. So let me take you outside so we can have a conversation, because there's clearly a disconnect, because I told you to lift your head up now, so there's a problem. Mm-hmm. So he comes out and he starts crying. He said, I got in trouble earlier today with the football team, yesterday with the football team, and then I started the day off and I got in trouble again. And I can't, I'm in a death spiral.
Bad spin.
And I said to him, what I know is you go to Capital Prep. And because you go to Capital Prep, you're a rock star. You can't be stopped. So this thing that you're doing right now is somebody else's school. So if you want to go to somebody else's school, then you can take my uniform off. But if you're going to rock our crest, then you have to recognize that you're different. And because you're different, I don't mind you crying. That's not, hey. I'm
supposed to cry. It's healthy.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Like, that's cool. But pull that stuff together. I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Go wipe your face off. Get yourself together. And then we're going to go back in here and get this math. Because that's a bag in there, right, that you just slept on. That cannot happen. Who would I be to let you just let money slip through your fingers? That can't happen. It took him a while. And he didn't really, throughout the rest of the day, he didn't, his legs never really got completely under him, but he stayed in school.
Hey, man. Like you said, you got to play hurt.
It's what it is.
But he stayed.
He stayed. And he got more out of it than what would have happened even if one of my own colleagues, whether he meant it or not, lowered his expectations of one of our beautiful black boys. Now, he knows better than that. He knows that kid can't learn like that. And it may have been less of a disruption with his head down, but that's what you're there for. Fix that. Fix it. It's a solvable problem. I don't have any magical powers. It's not like I went in there and threatened him or bought him off. I just told him.
But sometimes teachers do need, like in that scenario, you got a classroom full of kids, and I've never been in a classroom, and this is an indictment on all teachers, but it is, we looking under the hood a little bit. That support from you probably went a long way, because he was, as the teacher in the room, trying not to maybe take away from the other kid's experience for this one moment.
So real talk, what that does is undermines him. When they see that I can come in and make it happen, he can't, it actually hurts him.
Got it.
It's actually a loss to him.
Got it.
Like, it's a net loss. because they don't see me come in with anything. It's not like I come in with a weapon or anything. I just come in and I tell them, you're better than that. The words that I use are not, they're not copywritten. He can say the same things. I mean, he's a great dude. Don't get me wrong. He's a great dude, but he's got to set a sense of urgency. That's the difference.
And teachers have bad days too.
Everyone has bad days. I have made some wickedly bad decisions professionally and personally too, but wickedly bad decisions, and God willing, I get a chance to live beyond them. And no one should ever be judged by the worst decisions that they make. We hope, right? The totality of a human being is such that we're going to make really wickedly bad decisions. But you create a culture, to your point, in your classroom where somebody feels like it's cool to put their head down.
Right.
Like now, so much so that they got lines on their face.
You sound like you voted for Republicans.
I have before, but I didn't.
No Donald Trump for you.
Nah, he's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy.
Nah, he's a really bad guy.
And how do you feel about, what's the lady, Betsy DeVos?
I think that she means well, and I think, sadly, she's ill-equipped for the position. What she is, back in Grand Rapids, is a really, really stand-up person. Back in Grand Rapids, people really respect her and her family. I mean, she's got hospitals named after them. I mean, they go hard.
And they got big money.
Yeah, they do, but there are a lot of people. And
her brother started the Blackwater Mercenaries or something like that. Those guys that was going over there.
I don't know anything about that, but I did meet somebody from Blackwater, and he was a really cool dude. So yeah,
I'm sure they're nice people.
But listen, but what I'm saying is, I don't know that she's in the right position. I think that she has. She should have let this go. And sadly, she actually is on the board of a school in Grand Rapids, which is one of the highest performing schools in Michigan. So when they paint her in this corner and start talking about her, she just sits there and takes the punches. Maybe it's some sort of wealthy white guilt. I don't have those, so I don't know what that's like.
She's been questioned, though, about basic, financial aid and simple things.
I think
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that let me be clearer than clear then. I'm saying that I don't think that Betsy DeVos is in the right position.
She shouldn't have this job.
She's not. I think that she comes across to me as a kind person. I've seen the work of her family in her community. I've actually met her husband and father, and they all seem like swell people. But in terms of the job, I just don't think that this is the right job for her. I think that, and I know some of the people who were being spoken to about taking the job, and they would have been awesome for it. But Donald Trump is such an ass. Like, he's just such a bad guy.
Embarrassing.
He really is. And for the record, I'm not saying that because I'm piling on, because I'm not that guy. That's just not. I
don't think at this point anybody would think you're piling
right.
on Donald Trump. They would encourage you to pile on.
But I'm saying he makes it impossible even to co-sign the good. Like, because the stop clock is right twice a day. So when he is right, it's just like, yeah, but let's just wait till a minute pass, because then he's going to be wrong before the next click. So I can't even mess with this dude. I don't want him to fail because I don't want our country to fail.
Nobody wants him to fail.
But I don't want him to be our president.
We just don't want him to. Nobody. I hate when people say, well, you don't want him to fail. Nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants America to fail.
Right.
People just don't want these people to have the jobs that they have.
We'll take it one step further. But on the same token, if we're going to stay in this space, this political space for a second, but then the Dems look like a bunch of clowns running around like, you can't beat this guy? For real.
All the time.
Like, what else does he have to do?
Well, the problem honestly is, Hillary was a problem. So we'll start
terrible
there.
Candidate.
And that whole status quo Democrat DNC support,
it's our turn.
Moderate bullshit. When the country is going, people want a definitive decision maker and leadership. And I think the problem is the whole even right now, we need more bipartisanship, and let's work with people who want to make progress.
Well, let's say
if you want to make progress, then I'm supportive of having a conversation around progress.
But stay there. But progress towards what? Like, the only ideas that we're hearing out of the Democratic camp, sadly, are going to cost more money and not necessarily produce better results, whatever that is, right? And that's sad, really. And what my thought is that there has to be someone who counts themselves as a national leader, as a Democrat. There has to be someone who counts himself who says, everything that the GOP says is not outlandish. There are some things in there.
But you're talking like an independent.
Well, no doubt. I have been a Democrat all my life, even as a youngster, ran for state representative when I was 26 years old as a Democrat. And this is just not my party. this is the union's party. It's their
But
party.
there are progressives within the Democratic movement.
They have
that
no
are-
Jews.
They don't have Jews yet.
They have no Jews.
Yet.
And
And
the
it'll
progressive.
happen faster. And it'll happen faster than what we've become accustomed to because we're living in a different time.
Okay, maybe.
We're living in a very different time.
And that would be dope, right? It would be dope if there was somebody who could say, I do want social programming and I do want to have better schools, but I also know that parents need choice.
By the way, the problem with, and since we're here, everybody talks about Democrats wanting to spend more money. The Republicans are spending more money.
There's no doubt about that.
And lying to you about it. So
No.
things are going to cost more money.
And let's be clear. I don't see either side as home. I don't see either side as home. And so that's why I make my way up and down the ticket, trying to
for
pull
sure.
people out who I think are going to at least
Well, this time I
move
just went
this
down
thing.
to ticket. I was like, look, we about to line this up and get this Donald Trump thing done. We can't let this
Yeah,
we
it's
can't let
sad.
this flounder on and act funny like we gonna vote for moderates who are gonna try to figure Donald Trump out, and we ain't figuring all this out right now.
Yeah, he's a bad guy. I mean,
This is a bad situation.
He's
We're
a
not
bad
doing
guy,
that.
and I'm afraid that his recklessness could become catastrophic.
I'm more concerned that his recklessness becomes normal, and it becomes precedent for behavior
that's
moving
fair.
forward. And that if we don't actually, there's some sort of real ramifications for not only his actions, but his behavior, then that office is never the same. And our expectations of that office are never the same. Like we just talked about the student with his head down in class.
Right.
Right? If that behavior is allowed,
Right.
what does that
Right.
now mean for everyone else?
Right.
That's my biggest problem.
Well, and so this, I think that the office will need to be completely sanitized afterwards.
Yeah.
I just don't know who's the woman or man who's going to come in and do it. Like, because they don't have the problem with the Dems is that they spend so much time apologizing for apologizing and not apologizing enough.
That's the way it's been. And let's see. Look, when Obama got in office in 2008, by 2010, he had lost the House or the Senate by both. By 2012, he won again, but the Tea Party was moving. Next thing is 2014, right?
Yeah.
Midterms, botched again. And 2018, he's done so. We had somebody in there who was somewhat bringing a different energy. I'm not gonna call him progressive, but he was trying to bring a positive energy.
Yeah.
And had no support. Still got some things done, but a lot that he brought, he didn't get done. And so now you have, he fixed the economy though. He got that
Sure
going,
did.
whether people like it or not.
All day.
And now you got somebody living off of it and just is a horrible person doing bad things and setting bad precedents. And so you gotta shake that base up and figure out a better way forward.
Well, from your mouth.
Well, so we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of capable, fresh, young, new ideas. And for people who supported Donald Trump and you were shaking things up and draining swamps
Yeah, not
and
so
everything
much.
that you was doing,
Not so much.
you got lied to. You got sold some bullshit.
Well, I
And here
was,
we are.
what tripped me out was how Donald Trump was able to connect to poor white people.
That's racial.
Like, that was amazing to me, given the fact that he probably wouldn't have spat upon them up until last year. Like,
He still won't. He gets on a podium and talks to them.
but they should feel the most played. They
But
should
they
feel
only
the most played.
I
But
don't think they
this-
see it though.
The sad part is, Laura, the reason that most of those
see
people
it.
are even Republicans is because of race. That constituency went from being Democratic to being Republican during the Civil Rights Bill. The people who think like that
That's fair.
made that switch then.
That's what,
Not because they're really Republicans.
right.
All of us kind of want the government to stay out of and meddling in the local nooks and
Right,
crannies.
right.
I think we could all agree, like, yeah,
Right.
Right.
Let us do what
you
we
don't want
gotta
anybody
do
telling
over
somebody
here.
who somebody should marry when they should be able to have a child.
course.
I mean, those are just silly things.
Like, right. So I think everybody mostly agrees
Yeah.
on that, but you have the evangelicals who vote based on the pulpit, and then you got people who vote based
Yeah,
on race.
I think they've lost their rudder. I don't think that they can claim that space anymore.
Not with this guy.
Nah.
What do you mean?
There's no way the evangelicals can claim that they're voting for Christ-like actions when they're co-signing Donald Trump.
It's weird because some of them, I know in the Latino community, some of them are very like the Trump supporting Latino community to me blows my mind. But they
And
use
it's mostly based
religion.
on religion.
Yeah, but the
They're-
problem is that their
they're
religion would.
anti-gay and pro-life.
Well,
they
there's
won't
that
shake
part,
that.
but then there's the rest of it. Like they're
You would think.
that might not be too many passages in the Bible. One would think.
So his name is Dr. Steve Perry. Thank you for your time today. I'm glad we established that Teachers Union doesn't like you.
I think they like me a lot. I think they just don't recognize
that
how much they
public
like me.
schools are undermining our children, which
That's it.
I believe has been a thing.
And our new show.
What new show?
I got a new show.
What show are you on?
My own
Somebody
show.
gave you a show?
Yeah, man. Fox.
Where?
On Fox?
Fox.
Fox News?
No.
Why not?
Daytime.
What is this new show?
Yeah, I got a brand new show starting January 7th.
Wow, man. No, I knew about it, but
A daytime
I was just playing
show.
Stupid. And what are you going to be dealing with? Are you going to be like Steve Harvey? But Dr. Steve Perry? Or
Nah,
you going to be
nah,
Dr. Phil? That's it. You're the combo
They had
between
a baby,
Dr.
right?
Phil and Steve Harvey
No. We got a whole
Dr.
different lane.
Steve
We got a whole
Perry.
different lane. Steve is my guy. I love him. He's
Yeah.
a really good, solid human being, and on so many levels. And so never would I want to compete against him. But we have a show. It's called Breakthrough. Dr. Steve Perry to air on January 7th, and what they refer to as a test. So they've chosen 10 markets throughout the country, New York City being one of them, Los Angeles, Detroit, I'm not going to get all 10, Orlando, Atlanta, Houston, where they rap a lot, and I'm sorry, I don't remember all of Phoenix.
It's fine. It's
but
fine.
but
Okay.
the point is that it'll be daytime and it comes it's daytime.
half an hour?
No, it's full hour, man.
44 minutes.
Yeah.
Two commercial breaks, 44 minutes of
yeah.
content.
It's trippy too because I mean, obviously that's not what I signed up for.
So
I mean,
what are you breaking through
Yeah,
here?
what are you
doing?
So
coming into?
a lot of things. Oh man, I wish I could tell you some stories. So one of the stories we had we done was with a little girl who was just wilding out, teenage girl, freshman, left the house doing some really not good things.
She was hoeing?
I wouldn't say that's a little girl, but she was going too far. She was
Okay.
going too far, and her parents are just completely, a mess over getting her back. And so brought her in, did some really, really cool stuff with her, brought the family together, very, very emotional. All the way through, there's a woman who is with this guy for like 16 years and, said that they've been engaged twice. I don't know how you do that, but that's possible, I guess.
Maybe break up and then I don't know.
Right. So they've been engaged twice, and that didn't work out. And he went off and had another child or two with other women during their relationship. And so she said that he took her youth from her. So my job was to point out that he can't take something that you didn't give him.
Got it.
And
So it's a discovery program. It's helping
It
people
is.
find their path, find their, to help break through the barriers.
breakthrough, right?
To help
Breakthrough.
break
So
through.
yeah, we had in the last one tell you about. We had this another relationship when we had a boyfriend and girlfriend, and he said that he liked looking at women on the internet and commenting for entertainment,
Okay.
and that seems to bother her. So I told him, you gotta find another form of entertainment, homie. Like this one is
If
not
you wanna
agreed
keep your
upon.
woman and
If
respect
you want
her.
to keep this woman, right? So, but it is for me the
Sounds
reason.
like a guru, Lori. Sounds like the guru.
It very much sounds like a guru.
I don't know about this. People call themselves guru or weird people. I'm not a
Laura's
guru.
Do
the
not
guru.
say that. We have a segment on the show called The Gurus.
I know that. That's why I'm trying to help you out here. That
Well,
was
you
my-
didn't. You
that was-
damaged.
that was my
damaging
that
the
was
whole
my
brand,
side
Steve. You
piece.
damaged
That was
the
my
whole
that was
brand.
my. All right. Except for you. If I did, I would look like a fool.
You
so,
know.
so it's.
But you are a doctor.
I am.
You have a doctorate.
I am. I do. I really do. I have the scars to prove it. Yeah.
So you are a combo between Inyala Van Zant, Dr. Phil, and Steve Harvey on Fox TV, not Fox News, no way, just Fox the brand.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called Breakthrough.
Breakthrough with Dr. Steve Perry, and I will follow in different markets Dr. Oz.
lot of
I
doctors.
will follow TMZ. I will follow the news. I'm
So
actually
you're a celebrity now.
no, and that's so stupid. Like, right? Why would I be? I'm an educator. Like, that's nothing
But you're on TV.
celebratory. It appears that way. It appears
And
that
people
way.
will celebrate you.
All right. Well, I'll take that.
You'll have like an intro and you'll come out and you'll be like, What's Whitney
He's clowning,
doing?
right?
She points to the crowd
this is
Real
all
life
that.
studio audience.
I will actually do
Yo,
it.
I'm gonna be texting you. I'll be texting you like,
don't do it because I will not respond. I'm not gonna do it. Like every time you do, I'm gonna just block. No, but so the good thing is, so it's a test. It's 10 days. That's the way they do it on Fox. They test it 10 days if it's like every radio, hot or not. So
Yeah.
Right.
But
Well,
for me, the only,
congratulations, that's great.
yeah, but the most important thing is that I get to talk about my kids and get more people understanding the work that we do and what we end up having to do every day. And
You are somewhat of a brand ambassador for Capital Prep. For
I hope so.
I
bleed this stuff.
And also too, I think it's it is controversial your stance on school choice because of the mainstream narrative and the lack of understanding of what's actually happening in education.
I think it's more that than anything. I think that if you ask anyone a very simple question, do you think a parent should have the right to choose the best school for her child? And anyone who says no is lying. It's just not, I think some random method of selection, some gerrymandering should determine where my child goes to school.
Right, because that definitely happens.
Some silly ass district that was designed to make sure that
in
people
New York
stay with
City,
their
we
races.
have the most segregated school system in the country.
On purpose. It's not an accident. So
And it's democratically governed.
all day. Our friends, it was Malcolm X who did. He was doing an interview, and he talked about the fox and the wolf. You got to watch that.
I think I've seen that clip.
It will change your life. And Malcolm talks about the fox and the wolf, and the people you trust are the ones who sometimes are the ones who are most likely to get you. So, breakthrough, Capital Prep. Obviously, my man Puff put up $1 million. We appreciate that. And now we're off to our it's our fifth site of Capital Prep. So we're very, very excited about
5?
it. Yeah, so
I thought it was Harlem,
so
2 in Connecticut.
So we got the one in Hartford. We started that. 2 in Bridgeport.
Okay.
4 in Harlem, and then now the Bronx.
God, I forgot about
More to come. We ain't
Yeah,
stopping
so-
here. We're gonna
What
keep going.
does it take for a city to get Capital Prep?
Honestly, they reach out like many of them have, which is it's humbling, really, because on the one hand, you understand why they're doing it, because they're recognizing that the academic experiences that they're offering their children are not cool. And then on the other side, that they would entrust their children to us. If you ever want to, be rocked to your core, let someone come to you and say, I want you to save my child. Like, when someone puts you in that place, if you feel anything but humility, then you are looking at things very, very differently than I am. I just think that, wow, I'm trying to get to heaven, brother. I made some decisions along the way I need to work out. So I'm trying to get there. And if this is one route to get me there, I'm gonna ride this joint as far as I can take it. And if that requires that I spend some time on television or radio or whatever it is, then I'll do that. But if this all goes away, because it does for everybody, I'll still be running schools.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Steve Perry, give it up. Capital Prep. Salute, brother. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you all. Thank
Yeah,
you
man.
all.